What if slowing down in nature could heal your nervous system, reconnect you to your purpose, and remind you that you're never alone? In today's episode, I'm speaking with Beth Mowry, educator, healer, and certified forest therapy guide who created the Awen Center for Wellness, Creativity, Sustainability, and Nature-Based Spirituality. Beth's journey from teaching in Brooklyn to guiding women in communities into deeper relationship with the earth is powerful and inspiring. At the Awen Center, she hosts women's circles, seasonal gatherings, moon rituals, and forest therapy walks that help people experience nature not just as a backdrop, but as a partner in healing and transformation. Together, we explore what forest therapy really is and why it matters in today's world, and how being in a relationship with nature can bring grounding, creativity, and resilience into your life. This conversation is about slowing down, finding belonging, and remembering the wisdom that the natural world has to offer us. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get into it. You're listening to the Soul Aligned Self-Care Podcast. I'm your host, Tina Stinson, and I had a stroke at the age of 39 from stress and burnout that shook my world. Now I'm laying it all out, the deep level self-care practices and mindset shifts that I needed that kept me healthy, balanced, and thriving. Join me in this intimate space as we explore healing, resilience, and the soul's journey to alignment. This is where real conversations about deep-level self-care happen. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome, Beth, to the Soul Aligned Self-Care Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. We've been trying to get this together for a while now, and I love that you were the first person that's in my local area that I'm interviewing on the podcast. So very excited about this.
Me too. It's very exciting to be here. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. So I'm just going to get right into it and go right into forest therapy. I've been interested in this for a long time. I still haven't actually done it yet, but it will happen, and I'm sure it probably will happen with you. And just to start off with, could you tell people what forest therapy is?
Sure.
And also maybe differentiate it from forest bathing, because I know there's a slight difference, right?
Well, it depends on your guide's perspective.
Okay.
Mostly there's not a difference. So forest therapy and forest bathing got its official start back in the 1980s, when in Japan, as the Japanese population shifted to more city-based, more desk jobs, doctors found a lot of negative health impacts. So increase in stress, increase in blood pressure, and their prescription was to go and spend time in the woods, spend time with nature. And in Japan, that's known as Shinrin-yoku, which translates into taking in the forest atmosphere. And we translated that into English as forest bathing or forest therapy. So forest therapy, I'm a forest therapy guide, which is different than a forest therapist. And so forest therapists are licensed therapists in the mental health field who use nature as part of their practice. I am not a certified therapist. I'm a forest therapy guide. And I've been certified and trained to take people out into the woods and to provide opportunities, but not at the level of being a certified therapist.
Okay, that's very interesting. So there's a lot of little nuances here and there. So tell me about how you got into what you're doing. So maybe start with, the Awen Center and then move from that into, I don't know if you became a forest therapist before or after that. So maybe tell us about that.
So I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania where my dad took us out to the woods all the time. And that is where, over trials and tribulations of teenage angst and first boyfriend moving away and all of that, I went to the forest for solace. And so that it has always been a place for me to go to feel grounded and healed. And that has led directly to me moving here into the Catskills from after teaching in New York City for 17 years. Moving into the
That'll do it.
Catskills. Yes, yes, for sure. I needed more nature in my life.
Yeah.
I loved teaching, but I needed more nature in my life. And so I moved here and found this land where I'm now living in Jefferson in the Catskills, and founded the Awen Center. And our mission is to develop community through sustainability, creativity, wellness, and nature-based spirituality. I am also I'm a practicing druid. I'm studying through the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. And so the forest therapy guide certification just seemed to flow along with all of those developments. I had moved up here already and started the retreat center, and then wanted to add this certification as another way to just build my skills and to be able to offer more things here at the center for folks.
I love it. Yeah, and I love the center. I've spent time there myself and I love going there. It's peaceful, it's welcoming. It's exactly what you said it is. It's community. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you created there. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I actually just came inside from marking out our new tree walk,
Oh,
which
nice.
will have native trees, and I'm going to have forest therapy prompts and invitations written along the tree walk so people can do a self-guided forest therapy walk as well. So I'm excited
That's
about that.
wow, that's very, very cool. That reminds me, a long time ago, I went to St. Croix and we went to, they actually called it a national monument, but what it was a underwater like guide, so you go underwater and you're snorkeling and there's actual like signs underwater.
That is very cool.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was called, but that's it just made me think of that. It was bizarre. I never knew anything existed like that, but it was very cool.
Yeah.
I also, when I was young, I grew up on Long Island, and so I used to go to the ocean
Mhm.
when I was upset or I needed some kind of, like grounding, like you said. And so I've moved around a lot since then, and I've always gone back to the water. It's always been
Mhm.
water for me. I've always had like these little outlets wherever I lived where there was
Mhm.
water. And I'm lucky enough now to have like water right on our property, but I do miss the ocean,
Nice.
I have to say. So I understand that draw to nature because you know how it makes you feel.
Mhm.
And it automatically, one of the things that I noticed was it made all the problems in my life seem so small because it was so
Yes.
big and it was so
Mhm.
beautiful. And
Yep.
so that was one of the things that it did to me. On top of that, we're pretty much we're grounding and we're,
Mhm.
in such a peaceful atmosphere. But what are some of the benefits of forest therapy?
So the research that has been happening in Japan and across the world actually has shown that spending a minimum of 2 hours in the forest in natural places does things like lower your blood pressure, increases creativity, it lowers your cortisol, which is our stress hormone.
Hmm.
It they are there's another thing, particularly with evergreen trees.
Hmm.
Evergreen trees release a chemical called phytoncides, and
Okay.
those phytoncides are a part of their natural immune system. So it helps the trees protect themselves from predators and insects and things. And so they're essentially the essential oils that these evergreen trees exude. And when we breathe that in, they actually provide a boost to our immune system as well,
That's crazy.
right?
Yeah.
So we know on a level, like a personal level, we know we feel better in the woods, but
Hmm.
there's actually science that shows it, that provides the data. And as a former science teacher, that's important to me. There is data that shows that this is actually happening,
Yeah.
which is great. And on a psychological level, I think what you just mentioned about perspective, like your perspective shifts when you're out there listening to the bird song or watching water flow, because you can be in a mindful state. And that mindfulness is really what the major benefit that leads to all of these medical benefits. It's the slowing down, it's putting away technology, it's being present in the moment, in the natural world. I mean, humans evolved in the natural world. It's only been in the last 200 years or so that we've really become so dependent and so disconnected from nature.
Yeah. And I think it's really important now more than ever because we're moving forward with technology at such a fast speed that
Mm-hmm.
we can't even keep up with it.
Yes.
Our brains can't even keep up with the leaps that we're
Yes.
taking in
Mm-hmm.
technology. And I feel like that's exactly what it feels like when I'm in nature, is like you feel like scattered, like you're all over in these different places. So your presence is here, it's here, it's here, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come into nature and it's like whoosh, like
Right.
it
Right.
comes like
Right.
back in, and you come back into yourself and you're more present and
Mm-hmm.
you're paying attention more. I love watching the birds. There's this joke that is, it's mostly with millennials about, you're getting old when you start getting excited about watching the birds. And I'm like, I love watching the birds, and I
Yes.
have all these different categories for, the birds of, their personality traits
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So it's like one of those things that just automatically brings me back into myself and relaxes me.
Mm-hmm.
Could
Yes.
you tell me, like, when someone comes to the Awen Center and they do a forest therapy walk with you,
Mm-hmm.
what is the process? What does it seem like when going through that?
Okay. So I have tailored my walks particularly for my mission of building community. And so we start by I have a group of objects that I put on a table, and I have everybody pick an object that I've identified with. And maybe it's an acorn, or maybe it's a seashell, or maybe it's a mirror, and use that as a way of introducing themselves. So that does a couple of things. It gives me an insight into where they're coming from and what their mindset is coming in, why they arrived, why they chose a forest therapy walk. But also having an object to talk about gives people, it's more of an icebreaker than just saying, tell us your name, which is just sometimes kind of awkward.
Hmm.
So we start with that. And then I go over the rule, not the rules of the road of the walk, but like what it's going to look like. So we welcome them, go over, like, we're going to be out in the woods for at least 2 hours, drink your water, here's the restroom, turn off your cell phone, all of those orientation kinds of things.
Hmm.
And then we go to a place on the land here that I have developed called Hemlock Hideaway. And it's a number of large trees that have fallen that are arranged in a circle underneath this lovely hemlock tree. And we sit there, and I invite folks to close their eyes or lower their gaze, and we do a sensory activating meditation. So we talk about um, like, what are you here? What do you feel? What does the air feel like? Put your hands in front of you. Is the air dry or is it damp? To really get folks tuned in to their senses
Hmm.
through breathing and also this mindful paying attention to their senses. Um, because if we just dove out into the woods, that wouldn't be helpful, right? Because
Yeah.
people would still be in this, like, I have to get stuff done, all of the frenetic things that are going on in our mind. So we do that. That's about 15 minutes of a meditation.
Hmm.
And then we go to our first stop along the walk. And so the walks are not strenuous, they're very slow paced. In fact, and they're quiet. I tell folks to, I invite folks. So that's actually an important thing. There's nothing that is a must do in a forest therapy walk. It's all invitation based. It's suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I tell folks is that if this is your time for self-care, for calm, and for peace. So if something that I ask or I suggest to you doesn't resonate, it's okay to not do it. Do what you feel called to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think there's that freedom in that too, that if I don't want to look at a tree bark, I'm instead intrigued by the spider web that I see a foot over this way, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
So I ask folks as we travel, I usually share quotes with people to ponder as we walk from one spot to another, or I invite them to listen to their footsteps as we walk. And that way it helps to keep folks in that mindful state rather than chit-chatting with people who are in the group.
Yeah.
Because that will sometimes it'll squash the magic of
Yeah, I
that
could see
in the
that.
woods.
Yeah.
So so we do that, and then we arrive at a place, and it's maybe 20 feet up the trail or wherever, and we'll stop at a spot, and I will offer an invitation. So an invitation usually starts with a quote, another quote, and then, for example, Bob Ross once shared with us, there's nothing wrong with having a tree as a friend. And then I offer the invitation to say, wander out, find a tree who is calling to you, and go introduce yourself and see what they have to share with you. And then I invite folks to go out and wander for about 10 minutes. And then I will call people back. And I've used different methods to call people back. I have an ocarina I've called. I use a drum sometimes, depending on what I feel like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll call people back, and we'll just circle up and say, like, what did you notice? And people will share. People don't. Sometimes they don't share, which is fine. That's one of our norms that we go by. It's good to share, but you don't have to. And then we debrief a little bit. And sometimes I will say what I noticed, because I also participate in the invitations while I'm doing it. And sometimes people notice things, and I'm able to draw out bigger, like, life lessons almost,
Mm-hmm.
and share. And people are like, wow, yes, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And then usually we do 3 invitations. And then we will come back, and then I have another place on the property, on the land here, called the Tea Garden, where we gather, and having a tea ritual is part of the forest therapy experience.
Nice.
So I serve usually an herbal tea. Sometimes it's made from herbs that are grown here.
Mm-hmm.
At the Awen Center, we'll have chamomile tea, or we'll have spruce tip tea. We'll have raspberry leaf tea, something that people can, like, connect with on the land. And then using the tea is our taste invitation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about what you've noticed. What would you like to share? And then we do a gratitude ceremony, similar to some of the other ceremonies that I do here at the Awen Center. We thank the 4 directions. We provide tea as an offering, a small offering for each of the 4 directions. And then I also provide individuals with little scrolls that have nature quotes on them that they can take away, that has a bead attached to it that I create here at the Awen Center. Every event that I do has an associated bead. So people can collect them all like Pokemon cards. It's a
Yeah.
joke. But it has a bead and then a quote, and it's a nature quote. And then that they can take that as a talisman for them to remember the peace and the calm that they felt, just as something that they can hold in their hand to transport them back to the woods.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. It sounds really beautifully put together. And I could see how that could really be beneficial for, you know, stress, anxiety,
Mm.
so many different things. And
Yeah,
another question I have, well, I have a fun question first. Do you have a favorite tree on the property?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
In fact, just this year, we at our work weekend over Memorial Day weekend, we built an altar to the ancestors
Hmm.
at great great grandfather Pine.
Oh, I met
Um,
that tree.
you did meet him. I know you did. Isn't he amazing?
Yes,
He's amazing. He's
very
just,
amazing.
I did a forest therapy retreat last summer. And then that's a full day of forest therapy walks. So there's 2 hours and then a break and then 2 hours and then lunch and then 2 hours and then 2 hours. So it's a full day. Um, when I first introduced that group of people to great great grandfather Pine,
Hmm.
there there was silence. Like nobody felt compelled to go up to him because there's just such an energy with him.
Hmm.
He has such a presence. He's such an elder of the forest here.
Yeah.
Because this land has been used for generations, right? It was agriculture. There's a Christmas tree farm on the back part of the property, which is great for forest therapy because all of the evergreen trees and the phytoncides. Um,
Yeah.
but great great grandfather Pine is just, he's so big, and so many trees around him were small because it was used as grazing for cows,
Hmm. Yeah.
and other things. So
Yeah, that tree
yes,
is beautiful and very old, right? Like,
very old, very
yeah.
old.
I've
Yeah.
never seen, and its shape is just very, not what you would expect from a pine tree. It has
Right.
like all these branches that almost looks
Mhm.
like a hand that you could sit in, kind of,
Yes,
So
definitely. Yeah.
very,
Um,
very cool.
yeah. The other thing, while we're talking about him, you noticed I'm using pronouns
Yeah.
for trees. And I really love the work of Robin Wall Kimmerer,
Yes.
who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass
Hmm.
and Gathering Moss and The Serviceberry, which is her latest book.
Hmm.
But she talks about the grammar of animacy.
Okay.
And when we relate to beings in the natural world as kin, as family, we take care of them. So we wouldn't refer to our grandmother as it.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
So when we say, well, that tree out there, it's just whatever, that disconnects us from it. And we are nature. We are made out of all of the same things, all
Hmm.
of the same atoms, all of the same compounds, all of the same elements. And our bodies have been recycled so many times through so many different natural beings that, we're all interconnected. And that grammar of animacy is so important. So I talk about that too as part of the introduction to my forest therapy walks, is that you will refer to, you know, I will
Yeah.
refer to trees as him, her, or he is a non gendered pronoun that is
Okay.
used in Robin Wall Kimmerer's indigenous language. So key.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. I love her too. I love her books. I
Hmm.
haven't read the Moss book yet, but I've read the other two, so
Hmm.
I'll have to get to that.
Yes.
Um, I have a tree on the property here. It's an oak tree. It's like in the center of our property,
Hmm.
and that tree is definitely a she. She watches over everyone.
Hmm.
She's in charge as far as I'm
Yep.
concerned. So
Hmm.
that's like she's the main gal of the property.
Yeah.
And there's like a sitting area over there. There's a bench, and it's like near the garden where my mom is sprinkled. So it's like a very
Hmm.
special area.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
cool. So talking about community, going back into that, I think you do a
Hmm.
really beautiful job of creating that community. And I was wondering if
Thank
you
you.
could talk about, so say there's someone who can't get, out of the city.
Hmm.
How can they create something where they could step into nature and get some of those benefits and the benefits of community on top of that? Do you have some ideas that they could use to connect when
Mhm.
they're in the city, in the cement.
Yeah. Yeah, in the cement.
Yeah.
It's really tricky.
Hmm.
However, a friend of mine who lives in the Bronx just posted a picture yesterday that they were walking in a park in the Bronx and there were wild turkeys there.
Oh, cool.
So, right? So there is nature. And when I was
Hmm.
still in the city, what I really tried to do is to focus on the nature that I did see. So getting close to the moss that was
Hmm.
growing on top of the iron railing of the church,
Hmm.
or looking at the resiliency of the plants that grew up through the sidewalk,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, looking at the trees if you have trees in your neighborhood. I also brought a lot of plants into my apartment.
Hmm.
So having those plants and trees and really before I even realized it, I created a sacred grove in my bedroom
Yeah.
by having pictures of trees, black and white pictures of trees. That's how what my decor was. And when at one point I looked in, and wow, I have my sacred grove here with all of these pictures of trees, some that I took, some that I bought, but just really connecting. Um, and I think there are other ways that you can connect with nature that don't need to be like, you don't need to see green necessarily. Things
Hmm.
like just celebrating the wheel of the year,
Hmm.
figuring out what does nature look like? What does the land look like where you are over the course of a year? Watch the moon,
Yes.
listen to the birds. But I can definitely understand people's frustration in the city with
Hmm.
that. And in fact, that was a large part of why the Awen Center is where it is. It's because I wanted something that was within 4 hours driving of New York City,
Yes.
because getting to nature from the city was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree.
it's also really it's it's something that I investigated with my students because I taught climate change in New York City. And one of the things that we talked about is about green space and about how access to green space is really a form of privilege. Because if you look at a map, a Google map of Brooklyn, where I lived, you
Hmm.
can see the neighborhoods that have trees and the neighborhoods that don't have trees. And you know who lives in the neighborhoods that have trees, and you know who lives in the neighborhoods who doesn't have that don't have trees.
That's so interesting. That's
And
terrible
so
too.
it's terrible. It's terrible. And so for access to the natural world is so critical. And yet it's it's a privilege. So if people don't have a car, which many folks in the city don't, you don't need one. You
Hmm.
know, you can go to Prospect Park or Central Park or Inwood Park. Um,
Yeah.
but it's also a trek. You know, you have to
Yeah.
be intentional about it.
You really do. You have to be very intentional. And something that's really interesting that I didn't know until my kids live in the city, and one of them lives near the East Village, that there is so many parks in the East Village, these little
Mhm.
nooks and crannies. I think there's like over 20 parks. They're not
Mhm.
big. They're like
Right.
in between buildings.
Mhm.
And my daughter has made a point to like find these little places, and
Mhm.
then there's like, so she's like, we can get something to eat here and we could go across the street. And this park is, a lot of times they're only open on the weekends, but
Yep.
they're beautiful and the communities around them take care of them. And so,
Yes.
and I always joke around with her when, if she's having a bad day, I'm like, you need to go outside and touch a tree. Just put your hand
Mhm.
on it.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, and there's not a lot of trees, um, you know, in when you're walking up and down the streets in the East Village, but there are
Mhm.
trees. And if you could find those little nooks and crannies where the parks are, you could do a search, I believe, of the whole city where all the
Mhm.
parks are. And so you could find those little nooks and crannies all over the place and
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know, ground yourself whenever you get the chance.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
talking about the Awen Center again, for the people who want to come visit you,
Hmm.
what are some of the types of events that you do there that people could expect? And I just want to mention that you did that art event. I'm not sure exactly what it was called,
Yes.
but
Celebrating our
that,
independence through the arts.
oh my God, I loved that. I had so much fun, and
So good.
all the projects that we did were so different, things that I don't think I've done any of them ever before. So it was
That's
like,
great.
yeah, so it was very, very cool. So what other kind of stuff do you do besides that?
Okay. So we do, when I stop to think about all of the things we do, it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So we do celebrations. We do community celebrations for the wheel of the year. So
Yes.
that means at the summer solstice, the winter solstice, the autumn equinox, and the spring equinox, and then the cross quarter days, which are the days in between. And
Okay.
so there are 8 festivals. We just celebrated Lunasaw at the beginning of August, and
Mm-hmm.
our next one will be the autumn equinox on September 21st.
Yes.
And so we celebrate those with, we have a group ritual, and then we have a community potluck. People bring all sorts of delicious food, and we'll do a seasonal activity. So
Yes.
for Lunasa, we some of the one of my friends, Tracy, who is also a part of the Druid organization, she gathered our younglings, who are the kids of the people who come. We're having a larger and larger group of younglings, but they planned our Telshin games, which were like family Olympics.
Okay.
And that's based on ancient Irish Olympics, which happened at that time in Ireland at the beginning of August. So it's very seasonally relevant. Um, so for Samhain, which is the precursor to Halloween, we'll have an ancestor altar, and people can sit at the ancestor altar and add things to remember their ancestors. For the winter solstice, we talk about light and bringing back the light and maintaining that the light is always in us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for Beltane, we have a maypole, so we do dancing around the maypole, or we do a particular craft or an activity that resonates with that, whatever that holiday is.
Yeah.
So Wheel of the Year, and that happens throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
We built a labyrinth on site, so we offer labyrinth walks, guided or unguided. We do a full moon labyrinth walk combined with tarot divination card pulls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that happens on the full moon. And we also have a virtual version of that because in the winter, people can't always make it here. And we wanted to keep offering it, and people wanted to keep participating. We have folks from Buffalo, we have folks from Pennsylvania, we have folks from all over the place who participate in that virtual walk, which is very cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so so that happens. And then in the summer, spring and summer and fall, we have them on site as well. So we'll
Yeah.
have the labyrinth walk and a campfire and drumming circle, and we'll get the telescope out and just do a whole like a fun celebration with s'mores and hanging out by the campfire, which is great.
Yeah, that is
Um,
beautiful. I love that.
yeah. We also, my friend Lindsay and I co-facilitate a women's circle once a month
Yes.
that happens at the new moon.
I love that.
Yes, it's really special. And we've been doing that for, it'll be 2 years in September,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. And we've had, I think, 45 different people cycle through, maybe more,
Yeah.
who
Wow.
have come to that over the course of the women's set circles lifespan so far. We're going
I
to outgrow my living room at some point. So
Yeah. I participate in that and I love it. I think it's just a really great way to connect, and it's once a month, and so it's
mhm,
really nice. I enjoy that.
thanks. And then what else do we do? In the summer, I do weekend retreat kinds of things.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have winterized gathering space here other than my living room,
Hmm.
which is great, but not totally functional for arts and crafts activities or whatever. So over the summer, we do a big druid camp over the summer solstice called Midsummer Magic, where
Hmm.
different people come in and teach workshops. And we have campfires and sing-alongs and just a really good, fun camp out experience for grown-ups and kids.
Yeah.
And then this year we did the arts weekend, celebrating your independence through arts. And that was such a hit. We're going to do that every year. It's going to be an annual event
Oh, that's
over
good
whatever
news.
the 4th of July weekend will be.
Yeah, that was wonderful. It was a really good way to spend the 4th of July too. It was definitely exactly what I needed that weekend. And people can camp there too, right?
Well,
Well,
sort of.
okay, sort of. Okay.
Yeah, people can stay. We're not a campground. We're not
Okay.
licensed as a campground. And so I can't, like, I don't charge people to camp, but
Yeah.
if folks are coming to stay and they want to stay on the land, my friends are staying and camping out on the land. So
Yeah.
I have to,
Okay.
navigate some things pretty carefully around legalities and
Yeah. That's
things.
understandable.
Yeah. So I often partner with local Airbnbs if people want to stay places so that we can do it in a way that provides support for other small businesses and also doesn't necessarily break the guidelines or the rules.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great places in the area. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I would love to have a campground. I would love to be able to have people here, but it would take adding a whole other level of infrastructure, which
Oh
I
my
just
God. Yeah.
don't have the money to do. So right
Yeah.
now it's mostly day events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and what else did we do? I do a forest therapy retreat. And that's a weekend long thing. So people can come Friday night, we do a campfire, and then they come back on Saturday all day. And then we have a closing Saturday night at the campfire. Um, and in 2 weeks, I think, yeah, 2 weeks is our divination weekend. And that's an annual event also. So it's all things tarot and oracle cards. And my friend Tracy just finished her OM divination set. So using trees as divination.
Oh,
We've
that's
done,
cool.
yeah, we've done
Yeah.
tea leaf reading. We've done like fun things like that. So
Yeah, that sounds fun. That
yeah.
sounds like a lot of fun.
We are also the home base. We partner with the Stanford Wellness Center to do retreats, day retreats for female veterans.
That's wonderful.
Yes. So that we did our first one in May, and then we're having a fall one on October 4th. So spread the word if you know any female veterans. It's free. It's funded by the Community Foundation of the Southern Catskills, I think.
Yeah.
And so totally free for female veterans to come and participate. Again, it's community and it's mental health and it's well-being and all of those things.
Excellent. Well,
Um,
that is,
oh, there's
well,
one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot one more thing.
go ahead. What is it?
The Awen Exchange. The
Oh,
Awen Exchange.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. So the Awen Exchange is my friend Julie, who runs the Hobart Exchange in Hobart, and I partner on a mutual aid hub called the Awen Exchange. And the Awen Exchange is a group of people who share things and skills and ideas and items that they have that they can share. And then people who are members of the exchange can send a Google form into the exchange, which is essentially Julie and me, asking for support. So
Yes.
if I need a power washer because my house has growing lichen on it, as it
Yeah.
does up here in the Catskills,
Yeah.
I can look on the list and say, like, okay, somebody has a power washer. Can I borrow it? And people have the option to say, no, I can't do it right now. But again, it's about building community. It's about being sustainable because we all don't need to buy all of the things.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
can share the things.
Yeah.
And as prices increase, as our economy is growing more and more uncertain,
Hmm.
we really, it's our belief that we really need to build this community-wide solidarity so that we can take care of each other.
Yeah. And it's better for the planet if everybody doesn't have a
Exactly.
power washer.
Exactly. Not everybody needs a power washer.
No. Yeah, I kind of went into that one day and started looking around, but I haven't signed up for it yet, and I have to do that. And it's also, I noticed people with different skills, you know.
Yes.
So someone who
Hmm.
knows how to do canning can
Yep.
teach someone else how to do canning and vice versa, or
Exactly.
somebody who knows how to fix cars or
Yep.
stuff like that.
We've got the whole range. We've got cars, we've got people who are published authors who have
Yeah,
put in there that they can help with editing books or with desktop publishing or with childcare or with like I can run errands for somebody or I can help in your garden or I can teach
yeah,
you about like animal husbandry for
yeah,
like rabbits. I mean,
yeah.
there's such a huge array of skills that people are willing to share.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's, yeah, I can't even believe we almost forgot to talk about that because I think that's just one of the most powerful things. That's
mhm,
exactly what we need.
right.
And that really, really does help build community and connection, you know, something
Yes.
that we probably would have never done. You know, like you don't even, a lot of us, especially up where it's very rural like this, we don't even know who our neighbors are sometimes, you know,
Right.
because they're a couple of miles away and back
Yep.
in the
Yep.
woods. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have any reason to go creeping around their house. And so,
Right. Right. Right.
so it's like getting to know your neighbors in a different way. And it's, yeah,
Right.
I just think it's needed and it's wonderful. And I think it just takes us back to the way we're supposed to live as humans in
Mhm.
communities and not isolated
Right.
by
We're
ourselves.
yeah, we're social creatures. And
Yeah.
that's really why almost all of what I do at the Awen Center is donation based.
Yeah.
Um, because community and wellness and spirituality and all of that should not be a privilege.
Hmm.
It should not be exclusionary. Everybody who wants to participate should be able to participate. Um, and everything with the exception of the weekend events, people it's a minimal fee. It's usually a $50 to $70 fee for the whole weekend of
Hmm.
activities.
Yeah.
And that's really just to cover costs.
Yeah.
I'm not in this to make money for sure,
Yeah.
because that's not what this is about. This is about caring for each other and caring for the land. And um, yeah, just those things.
Beautiful. I love it. So what I'll do is I will put a link to the Awen Center in the show notes so people can go check it out. Definitely check it out. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from New York City.
Yes, it is.
And,
Yes, it is.
you know, you can come and reduce your stress, reduce your blood pressure, have
Exactly. And
fun, connect with
yep,
people,
yep.
and it's just a wonderful place. And I can't say any more wonderful things about it. I just love going there. I have one last thing
Yes.
I like to ask people when they come on, and I might know the answer to this, but what is the one thing what is your go-to self-care practice that really helps you relax and de-stress?
Walking in the woods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Surprise.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was in a really high stress, high anxiety job when I first moved up here.
Hmm.
And many days when I got home from work, I would just walk. As soon as I got out of my car, I would just walk, not even come in the house yet, because I needed that grounding. I needed that place to breathe. Um, and what's interesting, I also, just within the last year, I had a skin cancer,
Oh, that's
melanoma
scary.
removed, right? So, I was in the middle of all of this. I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't whatever. And so I just went out and sat on the ground in the back,
Yeah.
um, and put my hands on the earth, and I just looked around and realized that I was sitting among my friends
Hmm.
because I have spent time getting to know all of the plants who live here and all of the trees who live here and the birds who live here. And so it was really helpful to not feel alone, to feel surrounded by kin.
Yeah, that's
Um,
beautiful.
it was really profound.
Yeah, that's really nice. What a nice note to end on. And as I said, people can connect with you and the Awen Center by going to the website. There's a lot of resources on there that you can go through. And I want to thank you again for coming on and
You're
talking
very
to us
welcome.
and sharing yourself with us.
You are very welcome. I was happy to be here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps get the show in front of more people who might need this type of support. And if you're ready to take your everyday self-care even deeper, come join us inside the Soul Aligned Life Patreon. Every week, you'll get new self-care practices and tools to help reduce stress and overwhelm. Plus, we do a monthly reset to keep you aligned and supported always. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I'd love to see you there. Until next time, be sure to take good care of yourself. Love you. Bye.